Sexual assault occurs every day, everywhere, and is often considered a joke, but almost always takes a toll on the people involved, whether that is a victim, accuser, or bystander. The definition of sexual assault is when a person intentionally sexually touches someone without his or her consent. Today we will be exploring how this affects the younger generation today, signing off with a short video of our fellow peers answering the given question. In your own words, describe what sexual assault is to you.
Sexual assault is when a male or a female touches the private parts of the opposite party.
Sexual assault is when one person and another person assaults the other orally, physically, anything, mentally.
Sexual assault is when you're touching someone without consent.
Assault is when either a male or a female attacks or harasses a person.
Sexual assault has been a silent issue in our society until recently, when the younger generation decided to act upon it. The Me Too movement managed to fuel the fight against sexual harassment. As celebrities began to out sexual offenders in the industry using the hashtag #MeToo to tweet about what is going on behind the scenes, which continued to spark the discussion using figures of high importance and major influence to spread and express their opinions to the younger generation, to further involve them in degrading the act of unconsented touching. This is not just an occurrence in the industry, but throughout the world on a daily basis. We asked our school community if they've ever been involved in a sexual assault scenario.
I got accused of it, but I didn't do anything wrong, so I obviously was acquitted of that.
I haven't been involved with a sexual assault scenario, but one of my good friends has.
Yes, I have been the victim, as you'd say.
I'm not.
According to statistics that have been evaluated, 1 out of every 6 women in the United States have either suffered an attempted or completed rape. A third of these women have then contemplated taking their life. This means that 3 girls in this classroom right now are likely to be raped, and one of them will then contemplate suicide. This proves how often sexual assault occurs in our immediate community.
We asked our peers how they think sexual assault affects the parties involved.
I think it would affect both the bystanders and the person that was, sexually assaulted, because I don't think anybody wants to witness any of that. And
Make the person who has been sexually assaulted uncomfortable and unsafe and not respected, and it can make the people around it feel uncomfortable and unsafe.
Yeah.
well, I think the person that did it they're either probably a sicko or it was just a one-off thing. They were probably just being an idiot or something. So I hope that they're not sickos.
It affects the victim because it makes them feel like they're dirty and makes them feel like they've done something wrong even though they didn't and it wasn't their fault. Makes them feel uncomfortable. It affects the bystanders because some might just think it's a joke and they just might walk off and not do anything about it. And the prosecutor may think it's funny or they might enjoy it and they might do it again and again just because they like it.
Sexual assault affects the parties involved both mentally, physically, friends, family, the victim. It's not a good time, and the victim has a terrible time with depression, anxiety, being hypervigilant all of the time, worrying if something's going to happen, and friends. It really depends on the prosecutor. If it was a accident, they can feel really terrible about it, seeing as they didn't mean for the other. Well, maybe they thought that the other person gave consent when they didn't, and they can feel a whole lot of guilt. And if it wasn't an accident, maybe they just get joy out of the scenario, and it's not really a scenario that's joyful for the other person.
It can make them, it depends who it is, because either they can be intoxicated or under the influence of drugs, and if they're not, it can make them feel good or make them feel like a complete idiot. But if they're either on drugs or intoxicated, they have practically no control.
The occurrence of sexual assault in a school environment is quite predominant, mostly taking place in senior years where students are gradually getting to a state of maturity and gaining their sense of sexuality. Unfortunately, sexual harassment is often portrayed as a joke among young adults, and the victim then feels conflicted whether to report it, as it could have an effect on their reputation by their peers. These assaults could well and truly be caused by people founded upon trust in your social standards. Therefore, even a person you consider a close friend could have intent to sexually harass you.
How was your day?
I mean, it was alright, I'm not sure.
Well, you went to the movies. What else did you expect from it?
I know, I thought it was different.
As you can see, people as young as 14 understand and know its effects in their lives.
Fun.
Sexual harassment comes in a range of different forms. Not all sexual harassment is physical, and a high majority can come from verbal influence, such as wolf whistling and catcalls, which are highly common amongst today's society, further to the teenage to adulthood age range. To add to this displeasure, women are submitted to this form of verbal harassment as it is considered a funny joke or a compliment. Again, in today's society, celebrities such as Jared Haynes, an NRL player, has recently been found guilty for sexual assault, and the well-known Harvey Weinstein cases were dismissed for so many years, as a nice rich guy like him wouldn't do anything like that.
As sexual harassment continues to affect people every day, we need to change the way it is seen, to teach the younger generation that it isn't okay to treat women or anyone else the way that they have been treated before. Sexual harassment is a serious issue that can lead to suicide and mental health problems. It happens everywhere, from work to school and even on the streets. To prevent this issue, it is vital for us to teach this new generation to further treat people with respect. To end this segment, we have provided an advertisement from the Australian government.
Come on then. What happened?
Got detention, just for flicking up a girl's skirt.
What? That's it.
Doesn't she know that's just boys being boys?
Yeah, I mean, I've already accepted that as I grow up, I'll probably be harassed and even abused.
Sorry. That's not what I meant.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.